Welcome back to Slightly Less Scripted, CC Podcast. We're here with Mr. Mike Cox, graduate of the class of 1980.
1980, yeah.
Mike, how's it going?
It's going great.
Cool. Back on campus?
Back on campus. Every time I come here, something else has been added. Pretty crazy.
What's been new since last time you were here?
The facing, post-STEM.
Yep.
And I've never been up here. And this is pretty crazy. When I started in Detroit, on Otter Drive, there was just 3 straight hallways, right? And this is pretty amazing.
So, speaking of Otter Drive, take me back. Catholic Central. When's the first time Catholic Central popped in to your head as a brand? When's the first time you connected with the school?
My old man was a carpenter. He immigrated here, and he would do maintenance work on Detroit public schools. And he heard from teachers in Detroit public schools about this Catholic Central, right? And he was Catholic. He was Irish Catholic from Glasgow, Scotland. And that became like the goal. And he was crazy about it. In fact, he made us pay our way, with paper routes and painting and working at party stores, because he was a big believer that he wanted us to get the education he didn't get.
Sure. And
it transformed our family.
Wow. So your Catholic Central experience was probably a pretty positive one on you growing up?
It was, in the sense that it drove me. I was kind of a half-ass student, half-ass athlete. If you walk the halls, you're going to see me in the 1978 wrestling state championship team, and people will get this idea like I was good, and I was not. But in fact, I quit my junior year because I had a lot of the things teenagers have, like low self-confidence and everything else. And CC was a school of high expectations. Mm-hmm. And so quite frankly, I was kind of like 3/4 baked when I left CC, right? In terms of on my way to manhood, and then I joined the Marines, and that kind of got me all the way there. But CC is definitely a part of it.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about the Marine Corps. I saw that you were you were a rifleman in the Marine Corps.
I was. Yeah, well, everyone's a rifleman in the Marine Corps, right? And then you do everything. And then those who can't do anything else stay a rifleman. So that's what I was. And it was a great experience. It was a melting pot of America. It was it was in between wars, and there was a group of surly people. I learned a lot. I met these drill instructors, who's just like you see in the movies, and they really shaped me quite a bit. Coach Rod really started the process, and some of the teachers here. I had a great English teacher, Father McCarthy, sophomore year. I remember, he was explaining things that were in these stories. And I thought, boy, this is bullshit. It's this book is really referring to this piece of art or this, some piece of history. I don't get that. And that was a bit at the beginning of the sophomore year. And by the end, I'm like, wow, this is a revelation. So I had some great experiences here that I built off of Father McCarthy. Father Donner, who's, the drive's named after, he was probably certifiably crazy, but he was a great teacher. And then, and Coach Rod was awesome. He was very much like Mitch Hancock. Everyone was afraid of him.
That's awesome. Yeah. One thing I've noticed about the wrestling program, we have a lot of guys that do wrestling here and then go off into service. Do you have any ideas on why that is?
That's interesting. Thinking about it, you're absolutely right. And I think it's, wrestling is a grind. It's a discipline. It's, humbling. And it creates this foundation where you kind of think you can do anything. And the military is a very natural fit in that way. At the same time, the military is a little more, the team. And obviously in wrestling, you have the team, then you have the individual. But certainly wrestling prepares you for most anything in life and strenuous things. And I think people who take on wrestling want a challenge.
Sure.
And the military can be a challenge.
A similar thing.
Yes, very much so.
So that makes a lot of sense to me. How does someone? You were former Attorney General of Michigan. Right. I guess let's start there. For those who don't know, what does the Attorney General of any state or the federal government, what exactly do they do?
Okay, well, so today the state of Michigan is an $81 billion a year company. with over 54,000 employees. And so the first job is you represent that company and all those employees. But going back to the Middle Ages, the Attorney General in every state, it's really starting back in medieval England. There was this idea of the parens patriae. My son took Latin, I didn't, but it's means stand in the shoes of the father, or in today's vernacular, mother as well, meaning you look out for the least amongst us. So there's it's not a formally religious overtone, but very much, and so that's how Attorney Generals got into fighting for consumer protection, environmental cases. When I was there, I spent 13 years as a prosecutor in Detroit, and I prosecuted, probably 50 murders. By the time I left, I ran the homicide unit. And when I would stand there after someone was convicted, there would be a pre-sentence report, and every pre-sentence report goes over what's your educational history, your social history, family history. Uniformly, very few of those, mostly young men, sometimes women, had no parent or a single family, usually a woman, right? And the father is usually gone. And so that got me thinking about child support. So I added chasing deadbeat parents, part of the Michigan's mission. And I'm really proud, since I started that, to collect over $500 million, helped a couple 100,000 kids. But more so, it's like sending a message to the rest of society that, hey, if you screw your kid, we're going to come after you.
Sure.
And so that was the thing I added. So there's a mix of being the corporate lawyer and then also looking out for the least among us. I started a cold case unit. I started a child predator unit, and they're still continuing today. I'm really, my name's not on anything, but I'm really proud of the things that they continue that we started when I was there.
I saw a cybersecurity initiative too, correct?
CSI, yeah, where we, that's tailed off a little bit, but we educated 250,000 kids a year, primary elementary school kids, on things that, Stephen, you would just take for granted, but it's a brave new world 15 years ago. And also educating parents on the dangers of the internet, the great opportunities, but also the dangers. And a lot of those things are just kind of second nature now, but they weren't then, because the internet was still fairly new. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, me being the esports coach, I saw that and I was like, it's actually still relevant today, because you still have new things that come along with technology like AI and that.
Yes.
So now you've got new threats and different kinds of security that you have to deal with. So it's something I saw and I was like, okay, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there really wasn't the cyberbullying as much then. But, the adult predators were kind of the first bad folks out there. And then after that became kind of cyber bullies. But it's all the same thing as like trying to empower young people, children, preteens, teenagers to protect themselves.
Do you have a case, and it can be from when you were a young attorney or maybe from AG, or you have a case that you look back on and you're like, oh, that was one of my key cases to like who I became. Like that was a big pivotal moment in my career.
There was a lot of those. So for a while when I was in the prosecutor's office, I was kind of like the gang guy. I did all the gang murder cases in Southwest Detroit. And I prosecuted a guy who's with this group called the Insane Spanish Cobras. His name is Chewy. Chewy's a nickname for anyone named Jesus, right? So Chewy Garcia came here, set up a gang of 80 young men, and hung out in a gang house in Southwest Detroit on Chopin Street. And ironically, his gang had shot at a guy I graduated from, Tommy Wallace-Sevitz, who was a Detroit cop, and he worked the same area. And at any rate, Chewy had ordered 6 murders, and it took us 2 years when we kind of unrolled the whole group. It was really crazy. It was like something on a movie where 60 young men would get together every Sunday, and they'd have almost religious-like rituals, and they had a code book and dialect, and it was really amazing what this guy did. He was, I'm trying to think of like a charismatic killer figure of the past couple of years, but that's what he was. So That was a big deal to me because I was always in Southwest Detroit and people knew. And like when he was gone, it didn't relieve all the problems of Southwest Detroit, but there was like a visible sigh. But there was a lot of others. Like when I was in the prosecutor's office, in the AG's office, we prosecuted a serial killer who killed 40 women in Texas and at least 3 here, but suspected of killing 15 here in Michigan. His name's Coral Watt. I don't know. There's a lot of others. I guess
sure.
I don't think of them that often because I'm now running for governor. I'm talking about the future, not about
about the past.
About the past. Yeah.
So let's talk about that then a little bit because you segued into it. So obviously now you're running for governor. How has your life changed since you've announced it?
Well, I get to meet a lot of great people again. With me here today is Alex Dante, who graduated 5 years ago, and he works with me. Just started. He's a great guy. When I'm swearing in the car, he brings back some teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge, and reprimands me that way. But other than that, he's pretty good. Life has been very good to me. My parents were immigrants. My mom was a maid. My dad was a carpenter. My brothers and I both grew up just working class in Redford. And, I remember coming to CC, how intimidating it was and how life-changing it was. And as I've thought, I got so many great opportunities being attorney general. And then I got out of office and I started a business from scratch at 49. And I have to tell you, that teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge. My boys were starting CC then. And I wanted to build something that they could be proud of. And I did pretty well and ended up doing Nassar cases. And I led this lawsuit against the University of Michigan. It's Dr. Robert Anderson, who abused primarily athletes, but a lot of U of M students, over 1,000 over a course of 30 years. And I made a lot of money off that. But more so, it was like I got to wear the white hat again and carry the mantle of teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge. Really, you feel good about that, right? You wake up every day, you have a purpose. And running for governor is about so much more than that, but it is a purpose. Like 5:30 rolls around every morning, and I thank God I have an opportunity to try and do something good for our state because Lord knows we need it, right? Sure. I mean, our 4th graders read at a level that only 2 states are worse than. Our unemployment rate is 2nd or 3rd worst in the nation every year. I know students here probably aren't thinking about those things, but that's the reality. And that's the reality they're going to confront. And if we don't do something about it. And as you know, since you know my son Roy, 3 of my 4 kids live outside Michigan. And as a parent, that's like horrible, right? You invest time and effort in your kids, and you dig your kids, you hang out with them, and you want that more casual contact. And too many parents are like Laura and I, where our kids have to chase opportunity elsewhere. And I want to make sure that DCC is, we keep more alumni here. Yeah, and we keep this thing going for another 100 years.
So you mentioned a topic. My mom was a public school teacher at Livonia Public for like 30 years. She just retired. Now she's at All Saints in Canton. But in terms of education, what are some things we can do moving forward to help get our kids to where they need to be? Obviously, like you said, we're kind of maybe here at CC, we take things for granted a little bit with the education that we get. But what are some things in the public that we can do better?
Well, it's really just some fundamentals. So I'm a big believer in school choice, opening opportunities up especially for folks in Detroit, Redford, Inkster, Bering Harbor, in Muskegon, Flint, where people don't have the financial wherewithal. School choice is a really big deal. But number 2, what I want to do is replicate what Mississippi has done. So 20 years ago, Mississippi was the 2nd worst state in 4th grade reading. It's now 9th. And then the change is 10 years ago, they enacted some legislation. It's pretty basic and fundamental, which is Number one, we're going to make sure every kid can read by third grade. Simple idea. First you learn to read, and then once you can read, you can then read to learn everything else, right? Number two, they'd identify kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade who are struggling, get them a tutor. Number three, as you think back, when you were in grade school, most of the time, the teacher was all alone in the classroom with you. So it also provided focus on coaching young teachers in the classroom to help them teach, kids to read. And then what they did is they got every public school teacher, they paid them to go to a class called the Science of Reading in the summer. And every teacher was aligned, and they just stuck with those things. And Michigan tried that 10 years ago, and then we gave up.
Sure.
Right? And so it's really about continuity. It's really about consistency. We can't expect public schools or schools that are different than Catholic Central to do, teach me goodness, discipline, knowledge. But certainly they should be able to teach knowledge, and there should be some sense of rigor or discipline. And if you have that, there will be some sense of goodness along with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know the reading specialty program because my mom was actually one of the teachers at LPS. That was 10 years ago when they tried to get, they had, her position was literally to get kids that fell behind in reading to the proper level. And then the program got cut, and she transitioned from a reading specialist to what they called like a learning specialist. Right. It was focusing on multiple of the subjects instead of just one. But she had always mentioned kind of what you said, which was, well, first the kids need to learn how to read before they can get anything else out of school.
Yeah, it's crazy. So if any of your viewers, listeners, if you look at like the graduation rate in Michigan's high schools, I think over like 87% or whatever right now. But the competency is like in the 50s. So Sure. There's a big gap, right? And there's too much social promotion out in the world. And I don't want to put her on the spot, but if you talk to your new English teacher, Jackie Price, she can give you a whole lowdown on like the trajectory, and perhaps your mom can, of where public school was when she started, and then where
it is now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not a good one.
No, it's important because it's the future of our country, a future of, that's the future generations that are coming up.
Yes. And I'm also a big proponent, ironically, of trades. So not everyone's cut out for CC, and that's not bad. That's good, right? So in our society, nationwide, about 36% of the people have a 4-year degree. Mm-hmm. I expect most people, when they come to Catholic Central, their parents hope that they'll get a 4-year degree. It doesn't always work out that way, but there's a college prep course, right? But a lot of successful countries and states have recognized that no matter what you do, maybe you'll get to 40% of adults who have a 4-year degree, but that still leaves 60% others who are smart, intuitive, good at, have skilled, or have different competencies. And education should, certainly in the public sector, should address that. So, in like the trades, and I have some nephews and cousins who are in advanced manufacturing, and they have great jobs, and they don't have any of the college debt of any of my kids. So that's not so there's, but none of that happens, whether it's in the trades or college prep or, empowering people to have choices when they leave high school. None of that happens if you don't start with the good fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic. And that's really what I'm focused on.
It starts in elementary school.
It does.
It really does. And the trade schools, to your point, I think I completely agree with. I mean, when you look at the facts about things, some people leave college in 6 figures of debt, and then you have some guys that start making money in their early 20s through trade school and found their own business and end up doing really, really well for themselves. With the onset of AI technology and kind of the future career paths, it's looking like more and more the thing that's falling behind in the country is infrastructure more than anything.
Yeah, those kind of jobs are kind of AI proof, right?
Yeah, of course.
And it's really, whatever choices we give young people as they, move into adulthood, we ought to give them good fundamentals. It's like, a sports analogy, right? As you progressed in soccer, you built on fundamentals, and And ultimately, everyone started with good players started with good fundamentals that predated whatever position they have or whatever offensive and defensive scheme they were in.
Sure, yeah. What advice would you give to some guys who maybe don't want to go the trade school route, but want to go the route you did in terms of public service, in terms of getting into either politics or into law? Do you have any advice for those guys, whether it's in high school or they're early on in college?
I think it's the same advice that I give to anyone in pursuing anything, which is, try and wake up each day and try and learn something new, right? Number two, keep in mind that relationships always matter. Most successful people have someone at their side or behind them, pushing them, dragging them along. And relationships do really matter. As I was driving here today, I was thinking about, I just joined the Marine Corps. I didn't tell anyone. And those were the days where we didn't have Facebook, cell phones, or any way of keeping in contact. And so I came out 3 years later, and I started touching base with my CC buddies, and they were still buddies. And the point I'm trying to make is, if you're leaving CC or any high school, you have these mixed bag of feelings about, I want to do this, I didn't do that, or I feel good about this, I feel bad about that. But the people around you who are around you, try and keep in touch with them, and you just never know how those relationships pay off. Could be financially, could be emotionally, the right word. I have a buddy who I carpooled with for a little while, who runs a company called Aptiv, has 200,000 employees, and we'll text every Saturday night, and it's just a check-in, and his name's Kevin Clark, and different times during our lives, we weren't in touch. And it's like a great relationship to have, right? I have another buddy, Pat Moog, who was a great football player here, played Division I football. And he then later became a cop. We text and keep in contact, get together. Yeah. So a couple things is try and learn something new every day. Work on your relationships, and you have to have resilience, right? Bottom line is shit's not always going to go your way, right? And sometimes you step in it, sometimes you step over it, and sometimes you just have to plow through it.
Sure.
Right? And resilience, determination is everything. And the fourth thing is keep in mind, or try and keep in mind that, things are going to happen to you that you don't want. And that most of life is about how you react to things.
Sure.
Right? You can't control the things that come your way, but you can control how you react. And fifth and last thing is, at the end of each day, forgive yourself for any things you didn't feel good about, and just be grateful that you made it through the day and you got another day to work on it.
Sure. It sounds like you're always looking forward. You're not trying to look back too much.
I try. You're right. CC is such a great place, but it's not the end of your growth. And I kind of left CC thinking, I should have kept wrestling. I should have done this. I should have done that. And I kind of let my parents down, let my brothers down, my family down. That's part of why I joined the Marine Corps. And my message is hey, just keep stepping,
Sure.
And life gets better. And the great thing about life is you get these great surprises, doors close and others open. Like, for instance, I ran for governor in 2010. I was in first place most of the time. Kind of a couple weird things happened I couldn't control. I lost, right, in the primary. And I had no plan B. For 3 years, I hated my job. But I had to recreate myself. But coincidentally, my son Connor, when I lost, was 12. Rory was 10. And one of my daughters, Shay, was 14. And because I lost, even though I was building a business, because I lost, they didn't have the pressure of being the governor's kid, which in retrospect would have really sucked for them.
So it worked out.
Right? And my life's better as a result. And
Sure.
This time, my kids are grown up. I've made a little money. I'm a little wiser. And whatever happens... I shouldn't say whatever happens. I'm not going to lose, but it's I'm in a better place, and part of it is you just have to accept things and just keep plowing forward.
For sure. I'm sure that running for something like the governor's office comes with its deals of stress and challenges and things of that nature. What's something that you like to do just, for fun, that you're like, okay, this is going to help me take my mind out, or this is kind of my escape zone?
Well, I got to work out every morning.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot older, so I tore my MCL, and in fact, I shouldn't be sitting this way. I'm getting it scraped in Christmas Eve. So I haven't been able to run a little bit. So I run or lift most every day and do something. And then, occasionally I try to read a book. I don't have much time. I try to peck away. Or my wife and I will just goof off and try and catch a live band here or there.
Yes, you find ways to decompress, and you have to get your workout in every single day.
Yeah, well, it's like Alex, you should be asking him, because I cause him a lot of stress every day. So he's got a bigger problem than I do.
So in terms of going back to like the challenges and stuff of that nature, what have you found most challenging to deal with through the running process?
Well, right now I've been out of it for 14 years. And so it's like reestablishing myself, talking with folks, and raising money, like talking about the issues I love, right? And a lot of people in politics want to, who doesn't want to, be on a stage and tell people what they think how the world should run, right? But the other stuff is like building a team. It takes a while. Getting the right people around your right team. I'm thankful that's really coming together. And then raising money, because it's a big state. And, you look at President Trump, won, and he has this great internet presence. Like him or not, he uses social media in ways that no one else has before, right?
Yeah.
At least at his level. But he still had to raise a ton of money, right? So it's just a lot of things, but it's all good, and there are things that it will apply in the future. And that was one thing I like. And I have to tell you one other thing. It's like, I'm not answering your question, but when I ran the first time, I had been a prosecutor for 13 years and I loved it. And I remember like the Thursday before the election, I was down 8 points. And I ended up beating this guy, Gary Peters, who's now United States Senator. I'm the only Republican who's ever beat him. And I literally won by less than a vote per precinct, meaning, where you go to vote at the school, right? Yeah. When your mom was less than a vote per that building, right? And I remember telling my wife afterwards, I'm down 8 points. The election's 5 days away. I know I'm going to win. But if somehow I don't, I've met so many great people and learn about so many ways people make their living and what they do. I'm going to take 6 months and think about if I want to try something new and a new challenge. And my point is, it's hard raising money. It's hard coming up with policy stuff. It's hard day after day going out. It requires a discipline. But the flip side of it is it's really fascinating. It's pretty cool, and you meet a lot of great people, including you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get to have some effect on everyone's life a little bit, right? You get to listen from other people, and then also get your own input, and actually feel like you're making some kind of change. Because sometimes it probably feels like for the rest of us when we go vote or something, like, okay, I voted, but it's a very small vote in terms of the big population.
Well, but know that your one vote does matter, because it mattered to me when I won the first time. But you're right. So like when I was a prosecutor, I could only impact one family at a time.
Sure.
A rape victim, I could only try and impact her, just her individually. If a murder victim's family, that family, try and help them heal. And you get in office and you can touch more people, not as closely or as emotionally connected, but you get to do that. And it's kind of funny. There's a woman who wasn't in politics when I was around the last time, who came up to me at an event like 3 weeks ago, and she hugged me. I never met her before, and she just said, and I want to thank you. When I was struggling to raise my 2 young children, and my husband left me, your office helped me out, and I was able to stabilize our finances and go to school and move ahead. And that made all the difference to me. And, I'm a pretty gruff person. Like I was almost borderline going to cry because it was just like, that's pretty cool, right? And that's a great thing of public service.
Yeah, you didn't know this person, but still you had a profound effect on their family, on their lives, and probably for many families, right?
Right. But a number of us can do that without being public service every day, right? And I found that when in my private job, right? And so, since I'm here, I have to hit the credo, teach me goodness, discipline, knowledge. You do that, you're going to touch a lot of people that you know of and others you don't, and you're going to make a difference.
So tell me a little bit about the process of running for governor, the actual process behind it. Is it as simple as, you basically declare that you're running, you start to raise money, or is like, could I go out and do it tomorrow, or do you have to have some prerequisites to go ahead and run for office?
Well, there is none, right? You run for attorney general, people expect you have a law degree, but by and large, no. But it's like building a small business, right? It's like you have to have a product. The product is you and your ideas. Then you have to build a team to help push the product out, to help sell the product, to help quality control on the product. So that's the political team you build around yourself. And then you have to go market the product, and that requires fundraising. And then you have to understand that some stores won't put the product on the shelf. And you have to keep working on them, whether it's an interest group or a political association you're looking for an endorsement from, or whoever it is. And then you have to realize that no matter how good your product is, some stores aren't going to sell your product, and you have to don't get emotionally involved in that and move on to the next store. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's in many respects, it's kind of like building a business.
A business. What's one thing that I know you're busy and we want to keep it in a time fashion, but what's one thing that you're looking forward to through the course of the running process? In the next 6 months, next 12 months.
Well, we've had a few debates. The Brother Rice guy, John James, has been skipping the debates, and so I'm getting ready to debate him. And then when I win the primary, I'll get to debate another CC guy who's actually on the debate team, Mayor Duggan and Secretary Benson. But I'm most anxious to win and then get started on doing. I firmly believe, and I just anyone out there, my website's Mike Cox 2026. I firmly believe in the ideas that I'm pushing, 100%. I mean, to me, our state has fallen behind. It was, like I said, my parents both immigrated. They didn't know each other. They both came here independent of each other because this was the greatest state in the greatest nation. And I firmly believe we can be that again. And I want to start executing on it as soon as possible come January 1 of 2027.
You're ready to get rock and rolling?
I am. It's like a 2-year dance in anticipation. It's kind of like, well, you played sports, but if you have a big game and the 2 days or whatever,
leading up.
The leading up, the anticipation kills you, right? And you're running things through your head, what you have to do. And so once you get that, the first 2 or 3 minutes on the field, you kind of relax and it's like, this is it, right?
Now it's game time.
Now it's game time. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
So you enjoy debating?
I do. Most of the time. But yes, I do. My parents are Irish, so every dinner table conversation was a debate. Was a debate. And my dad was really contrarian. He would just say crazy stuff. I've said to him.
He was the one friend who would disagree with you.
Yes.
Yes. Just to disagree.
He would. Yeah. So if and he could get pretty heated too. And so all the stereotypes applied to my old man. So that was great, and it turns out both my brothers and I all became lawyers, and probably in part because of his influence.
Right. Yeah, you guys have all gone into service. Last question before we end it here. We've been asking all of our alumnus, for basically a bazillion story, because I'm sure you've got a bunch of them, but what's one memorable moment that you had with a bazillion father that kind of shaped you, or maybe it was a funny story that you wanted to tell?
Well, I don't know if it's a funny story, so So everyone, there's a couple. There's like Father Danaher Drive, right? So he was a 9th grade religion teacher, and he was in charge. He sold bagels and candy out of his thing. And during the drive, you could leave class anytime to go, as long as you're going to Father Danaher, because he would roll everything into the drive or missions. And he was a really interesting guy. His dad was, his brother was an admiral who worked in the John F. Kennedy White House. His other brother coached the University of Dayton in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and led Dayton into like 3 grade 8s for those who follow college basketball, and like 4 or 5 around the 16s. And so, and Father Danaher was just a nut. He would just scream at people, and then he had a song called the Bible Beat. He wrote songs. He helped write Hullabaloo Connect.
Yeah.
And he scared the hell out of everyone, but he loved everyone at the same time. In this day and age, he could have never survived. But
too many good stories.
But the flip side, I had this Father McCarthy who just opened my mind up to literature, right? And I had another Father Paramo. I walked by something's named by Father Paramo. I had him for junior physics, had him for physics, and I was a solid D, first quarter, second quarter. And then the second term, I ended up with like a B+. And like, I didn't go into physics, but like he taught me so much and expanded my mind. It was just, they were a crazy group of priests, but they got the job done in a very crazy, twisted way, but they got it done.
The Basilians are all very different. They all have different personalities. They're all special in their own way, and they all have their own little things that they teach you in a certain style of teaching. But I think that's why they're a great group of priests.
They are, and I think it's kind of passed on to all the lay teachers now. You have a lot more lay teachers now. And I remember when my sons were wrestling, I had a few run-ins with Mitch and some of the teachers and Mr. Griffin, but I knew they always loved my kids and were always looking out to do the best for them.
100%. I know you want to get going and probably get a quick tour of the STEM building. So one last time for the cameras, if you want to let everyone know where they can find information on your website or maybe social medias.
So website's Mike Cox 2026. Social media is just Mike, MIKE _ Cox, COX.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate you and good luck with everything.
All right. Thank you, sir.